I mean, you didn't come to the Kiddush today. What happened?
I had too much to do at home before the meal.
Yeah, we missed you. Okay.
Okay, Ayin Testament base on the bottom. Hamotzi. So we talked about
That
that.
was Nafla. Did we do that one?
We did. We did that. We did that. Yeah, we did that Mishnah.
Okay. Oh, no, we did the Mishnah?
Mishnah and the Gemara. Did we not? I made a mistake.
You
Yeah,
just,
we
oh,
did.
Ayin Tet Amid base. I'm looking at the wrong page. Okay.
On the bottom, about 6 lines. Hamotzi Hatzos Alasishta. So we have the husband has the right to eat the profits, right? The wife, she owns the property that she brought in, but the husband has the right for the profits. Now he's investing money into the estate in order to get out profits. So now it says, now the question is, does he, what does he takes payrolls. So here it says that makes a difference if when he divorced her or when he died, I guess when he divorced over here, and he wants to get back the investment that he made. If he didn't get enough payrolls, if he didn't get enough profit. So here it says both ways. The word kimma means a little bit. There's no difference. If he
means a little bit.
Right, in Aramaic, kimma means a mat. So it means that he invested a lot. Hotzi harbe invested a lot, and he only got a little bit out of it. Or he invested a little bit and he got a lot out of it. Masha hotzi, masha achal. It just leaves when he divorces her, so he stops eating payrolls, and it doesn't make a difference how much he invested, how much he got out. If he invested and he got out something, so then whatever he invested, whatever he got out, then it no bonus. But hotzi v'lo achal. What if he invested and he didn't get anything yet? He didn't yet have a chance to get any kind of profits out of it. So then he has a right to get back his investment. Then he should swear, has to swear that we should, or else he could lie. So he swears how much he invested, and he's allowed to take it. He takes that amount. So what does it say? That if he did take something back, he did have some benefit, then he loses whatever he invested. But if he didn't have any achal, lo achal, so then he gets back whatever he invested, but he has to swear how much he invested. The Gemara asks, the Gemara understands that there's some minimum. When it says achal kima, even eating a little bit makes already that he can't get any back his investment. How much is a little bit? Even one fig. Like they say in Yiddish, you have a fig, that's like an expression for like a nothing, a fig. But here it means that even one, probably less than a fig is not one fig, but it means even anything.
I think I have a picture
of a fig.
A bunch of fruit. I know I saw the picture.
But only if you ate it in a respectable way, like it was a chashivas, significant eating, even though it was only one fig, but he ate it as a chashivas. But if it was something agav, something like that, maybe he picked off a fig, that's not considered yet eating. Amar Rabbi, on top of the page. Amar Rabbi Abba. No? Okay, that's the next one over here. Amar Rabbi Abba. Ami Be'Rav, Afilu Shigra the Tamri. So Tamri means dates. The question is what Shigra means. So Rashi has to show to me the Shigra means, how does it say over here? Rashi says maybe dates that are crushed together the same way that you would crush together figs, usually a fig cake. Same also, there's such a thing with dates also. What is that?
It's a date cake.
A date cake, okay. They have a lot of full dates over there, like with cake. It's regular cake.
No.
Just cake, just dates. Just dates. Okay, or Rashi says that maybe it's a eshkol, maybe it's a cluster of dates. Either way, it also means very little. Rashi has a problem that this seems to be more than one fig. Before it said one fig, and now it says even a cluster of dates or a cake of dates. So Rashi says that would have been better if this Gemara would have been first. The first Gemara says even a cluster of dates, and it says even one fig. But the point seems to be even any small amount. But the Gemara says if it was derech kavod, if it was a significant, it was a chashuv way of eating. How would you say derech kavod? A respectable way of eating. It wasn't just grab it. Yeah. How about chufsa de tamri? Rashi says that chufsa de tamri would be something that's considered the psolos. When you're making beer and you have the leftover dates, that you made beer out of dates, date beer. So the leftover, that's not so chashuv. Maybe that's not considered significant. Take you that we don't know. We don't know if that's considered significant enough. Maybe that's even less than the fig or the dates. This is already just a psolos that's left over after you made the beer. So that the Gemara says taken. Now the Gemara says, how about lo achal derech kavod? He said before that this minimum is only if it was derech kavod, but if it wasn't derech kavod, that's not enough. That's too little. So how much is going to be the shear, the minimum shear, if it was not derech kavod? So now the Gemara talks about the value. What's the minimum amount if it was not eaten derech kavod? Amarula, Pligi Ba Tre Amarova, there's Machokis in two Amarom and Eretz Yisrael, doesn't say the names. Chad Amar B'Kesev, Chad Amar B'Kedinner. Machokis, a dinner's worth, a dinner's a zuz, and a kisser I think is less. I think there are, I forgot if there are 2 isser in a dinner or something like that. So amount of money, which we'd have to look up to see how much that would be, if it's ever relevant. But if it was not eaten there, but it's also a very small amount of money. If you took out a small amount of money, a isser or a dinner, so then he loses whatever he invested. Nugamar, I mean, everything's like very short over here. Here we started with the theory, and then we said this was a teku, and then it was machlokas if it was this or a dinner. Okay, Nugamar, Amidana de Pumpadisa. The judges of Pumpadisa. Rashi brings down from his head to know that a certain person called the judges of Pumpadisa. That Rav Yehuda paskin that even if the husband he just benefited from the estate of his wife, just bunches of vines, just the vines alone. He didn't get any fruit. He just used the vines. The Gemara is going to say soon. Or Rashi says that it was. But the Gemara doesn't say. Rashi says it was animal food, even elephant food. It sounds like not all the animals eat it either, but elephants eat it. But whatever it was, he only benefited from it. The vines, is that considered enough that the husband benefited something? So it says Rav Yehuda had such a case, and he passed him that's enough. That's considered the husband got something out of it, and therefore the rest of it he loses all of his expenses. We find Rav Yehuda saying such a svara. He says that if somebody over there talking about Hilchas Chazaka, that a person in order to prove his ownership in a field, so he has to have 3 years of living there. Nobody protested. We had that in Isugi and Baba Basra. So even if they ate it during the early years, a tree that he said that it was used during the early years or during Shvias, during the Shemitah year, or it was Kalayim, it's also a Chazaka. And the question is, how could he do it? How could he use anything? Or you're not allowed to benefit from it. So why did he benefit from the tree?
What does that have to do with vines?
So that's the point. Right, that's the point. That there's nothing that doesn't mean that he took the wood. It means that the tree is still there, and somehow he used the tree for 3 years during Orla. How could he use the tree for 3 years? What did he do? He can't eat the fruit. It must be that he only ate the vines, and that's enough to show chazaka also, because the vines is also called showing ownership. The fact that a person takes the vines, that's showing that something. It's a something. It's a chashuv thing. It's enough chashuv. So therefore, Orla, even though the fruit are also there's vines on with them. Yes.
We don't think that it's fruit. We don't think it's the fruit because if Orla it wouldn't grow yet.
No,
or because
Orla
we know
also,
he's a frum guy.
Yeah. We're talking about that frum guy. It's that they can't eat.
He
it.
knows that he can't eat the fruit.
He didn't eat it. So what did he do? For 3 years, he had ownership of the tree for 3 years, and that's proves a
But
chazaka.
he took care of the plant. He just watered them, and he weeded the grounds around them. Isn't that called working the land?
He's
talking about eating it, it's just consuming it, not working.
That's what it seems. That even I don't think he's coming to say different than that. He's saying that this would be considered, even if he just ate from the tree for 3 years, that's also considered a proof of a chazaka. I don't recall the halacha about working it, but that we're not talking about making chazaka to be kona. We're talking about that he benefited from the tree. He benefited from the tree for 3 years. So what does it mean? He benefited from it in the years of Orla. So here, Rashi says that even though he can't benefit from the fruit, he benefited from the zmoros. That's good enough. Shvius also, Shvius is hefker. So what did he use from the tree? The fact that he took the fruit doesn't show anything because the year of Shemitah is hefker. But if he took the vines, that people are not allowed to take because that's not fruit, that's not the hefker part. But if someone took the vines, the owner, that means that he's showing ownership, and also klayim, that the klayim, what is it called? The crossbreed of different kinds of trees. So it's also to benefit, but the zmoros are still mutter, the vines are mutter. So all these things is considered one of the 3 years, and it's a chazaka. So too, the Gemara is comparing that to here, that using the vines is also considered a benefit, and therefore, if the husband would have taken the zmoros from his wife's field, that's considered that he benefited from it, and therefore he loses all the investments that he made. He got something out of it. What did the Mishnah say? That if he invested it and he benefited something, then he loses the investment. Whatever he invested, he invested. Whatever he benefited. And you see that review the holes. That's more is considered a benefit. That's the end of that Gemara. And now the next Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Amar Rav Chisda. Hamotzi Yotzos al Nifsei Ishtel Ketana. We spoke about that the wife is an adult wife, and the marriage is a marriage. And in order to get a divorce, he has to give the divorce. But now we're going to the what's halacha about Ishtel Ketana. We know many times already that if she's a minor, that the brother and mother married her off, not the father, so it's only Kedushin Rabbanan, and she has the right to leave whenever she wants to. That's called miyun. So there, he doesn't feel so secure that she's going to stay. So if he married her and he knows at any time she could just say goodbye, so then he doesn't feel comfortable to invest into the field. So if you're going to say that, but if he invested, whatever he took, even if he took one fig, he loses the investment, he's not going to invest anything. So therefore, they made a takana. Then it doesn't have the special halacha that whatever you took, whatever you spent, and goodbye, we don't know you. Here, the halacha is like if somebody would have invested in somebody else's field. What's the halacha of a yored? So the halacha is that he gets as if how much he improved it, or a percentage, whatever, like we said, the percentage of what is usually taken. If a person is a sharecropper, so the person owns the field, and you work the field and bring out of it the profits, and then either have 50% or 25%, whatever the minhag medina is, how much a yored, it's called a yored, he goes to somebody's field. So in Rishus, yored Rishus. So then he gets this percentage. So too, the husband who invests into his minor wife's estate. So we're not even right now, right. He still gets his percentage. So therefore, he's happy to invest because even if she's going to walk out, he's still going to get. So therefore, she's safe that he's not going to just ruin the field and take out the whole time without investing anything. Like the Gemara says, "My time, how come they made such a takana of the bar takanta? They made a takana in order that he shouldn't ruin the field. If he's going to be scared, she might leave any time on her own, so he won't invest anything. He'll just try to take out the milk out of it as much as he could, and then he'll wait till she becomes an adult, maybe until she becomes. Then he'll be secure. But right now he's not secure. So the Rabbanan don't want to have that fear of his that she might leave any time, and therefore he won't get it. He won't invest anything. This way, he's happy to invest because even on the side that she does refuse, he still gets a percentage that's a normal percentage worth investing.
Who's the nifsadina? Who's going to lose?
He should not ruin the field. He should not ruin the field. Why does he ruin the field? If he does take it, you don't invest. You ruin the field. You just take the fruit, then you don't put anything into it. Don't take care of it. You don't water it. You don't fertilize it. Always, he has to take also input, and then it gives that profit. Here's a story. First one on the line. There's a woman who got a Yerusha of 400 zuz. Bechozai. Bechozai is always the marshal of a faraway planet. Marshal, that's the case. That was very far away. I don't know where it is, but it's very far away. It was considered a very long journey to get there. And she got a Yerusha. Azal Gabra. So the husband went for her to pick up the Yerusha. It took 600 zuz to get there. It could be that he expected more. He wouldn't have spent 600 zuz to get 400 zuz. He probably thought it was a big Yerusha. And he went 600 zuz for the transportation, and he got there. Like sometimes people go to raise money and they don't pay for the airfare. So that's what happened over here, that he spent 600 zuz to get there, and then when he got there, there's only 400 zuz. Okay, so he took it. I see Abba he took 400. That's what was bringing back the Yerusha. On the way, he needed one zuz. On the way back, he had to take one zuz out of the 400, whatever, for expenses on the road. He needed some gasoline, whatever it was. Shakamina, we took him that money. So, the question is that he took something out. He made it's like we already say investment.
He's using it.
Like we had before that if the Mishnah said that he made an investment and then he benefited something, he loses the whole investment. Once you got something out of the wife's estate,
you lose the investment.
You lose the whole investment, right? If he benefited one fig. So here he benefited one zuz. He invested 600 zuz. He benefited one zuz. We say goodbye, and that's what's going to be. So Asa Lakamei Rabami, he came to Rabami. Amalei Masha Otziotzi Masha Achalachal. They said that's what the Mishnah is. That's why he spent 600. Okay, and then you ate something, so you lost everything. Amalei Rabbanan, the Rabami, but the Rabbanan complained. They said no. Oh, here he didn't take the profits. He took from the Karen. So the Rishonim say he's saying 2 points over here. Maybe the Gemara sounds like 1 point for Otzahi. So it seems maybe there are 2 points over here. One is that he didn't take the payros. He didn't take the profits. He took the Karen. The 400 was the Karen. That was the principle that she inherited. So the fact that he spent part of that, that's not called that he took payros. He didn't take payros. That was from the actual Karen. Right. Second of all, Hotzahi. What do they say, Hotzahi? It seems to be another point that it didn't benefit anything. All this was expenses. The fact that he took it, why did he take it? Because he was on the road going to get it. So that was all part of his investment. The husband, he wanted to get the 400 zuz for her. So he spent 601 zuz. But it wasn't that he took any profits. It wasn't a profit. He didn't need ice cream on the way. He did it because he had a traveling expenses. So that's only called out sauce. He didn't get anything. Right. So he said, you're right. So then you're right. Then he just invested and he didn't get anything back. So therefore they swear how much he invested and he has the right to get it all back. So he'll get back his whole.
He'll get the whole 400.
Right. He's not going to. She doesn't know him 600. Right. She doesn't know him 600, but
400.
She gets back he gets back the investment that he made. Wow.
Yishbak kama hotza.
Hotzi v'yito. That was the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that, right? The
Yeah.
Mishnah said Hotzi
Okay, so
v'lo. That's
what-
the end of the Mishnah.
So he spent 600 and didn't even get 400 back?
He got 400. It's 399. Yeah, he lost his money.
If they would
Why
have
did he
been,
do that, Maisa, if he
I
never
think he
spent
thought that
enough
he had
money?
10,000 over there.
Oh, he
He
didn't
came
even
back and he
know.
said, that's the whole news, the 400.
Yeah,
Okay, he
so-
wouldn't have spent 600 to get 400, but he didn't know. But he spent people that do that sometimes. They make a
Yeah.
trip to make something, big money, and then
Yeah,
they didn't make it.
Fundraisers
went.
do that all the time.
So here, the point is that he didn't get any benefit. The fact that he had to spend something on the way wasn't considered profit. It's just considered that also part of the expenses. So he gets back his money.
Can you turn on the camera, please?
Oh, thank you. I really
He
realized.
gets back his whatever
Okay, thank you.
is there can
That's the one
reimburse him
who
for the
wants the one that
expenses.
is
I'm sorry?
bad deal,
He
right?
can get reimbursed for the expenses as much as there is in.
Right, he's not going to get more than the Yerusha. He spent more than the Yerusha was. So that she doesn't have to give him, but the whole Yerusha will get. It says in the Mishnah, Yishava kamotzi v'yito, that if he didn't get any profit, he just invested and didn't get anything. So then he swears how much he invested and he's allowed to take that. That was the Mishnah. This was the Mishnah. Amar Abasi, hu sheyesh shevach keneged otzar. So he said a statement that could be taken two ways. The Gemara is going to say right away. Abasi said that's only if the profit equals the expense. So again, the Mishnah, let's get the Mishnah over here. This was the Mishnah that Yishava kam hotzi v'yito. The case was that he invested and he didn't get any profits. So then he swears how much he spent. I'm sorry. What does it say? That he didn't benefit. It had profit. It produced, but he didn't get it. He didn't take anything. So then,
How much he put in?
then he gets back his whole investment. He has to swear how much it was in order to get it back. Now, Ravasi said a statement.
Extra 200 that he lost.
No, new story, new story.
No,
We're back to the Mishnah. That was
No,
a
but
side
the
story.
Mishnah was talking about when he said, I never took any profits.
Right.
So then he swears that he never took any.
He
Is that what
swears
he-
that he says he swears how much he spent, how much he
Oh,
invested.
that's the last case. I thought the Mishnah was talking about where he didn't take any profits and now he.
This is the Mishnah. Hotzi v'lo, achal yishava kam hotzi v'yito. This is the words that the more quotes. If he spent and he didn't benefit anything, so he
Oh,
swears.
Hotzi, I thought.
Hotzi means that he spent, he invested.
The
The whole Mishnah, hotzi harbi v'achal kima.
I
Kima
thought it meant that
v'achal.
he divorced her.
No, the word hotzi means he spent money.
Oh, okay.
The whole word hotzi harbi. What is hotzi harbi?
Uh-huh. I
Hotzi
see.
kima.
Okay.
It means that he spent, how much he spent. So he spent a lot of money and he only benefited a little, he loses the whole investment. But if he invested, but he didn't get anything out of it, so it produced, but he didn't need it. He put in everything he needs that the field should produce. It produced a lot, but he didn't take anything, didn't take even one fig. So then he swears how much he invested and he gets it all back. On that, the Gemara says, Ravasi says something, Ravasi, the who, that's only if there was profit equal to the expense. So what does that mean? The Gemara has two ways how to understand that. First, the Gemara says, we'll see the Gemara. The Gemara has two ways how to understand those words. If the profits are more than the expenses, means he says he invested for, let's say whatever, $1,000, and the profit is $1,000, and he didn't eat anything of that $1,000 yet, it's equal. So then he has to swear that he spent $1,000 and get it back. But if there would be more profit, there was $2,000.
Yeah.
He invested $1,000 and he got $2,000 out of it. So then he's allowed to take the expense without any shua. She's going to get the $2,000, but he says, I spent $1,000. So he gets back $1,000.
If there's more, he gets his expenses.
He gets his
doesn't have to
expenses. He
swear
doesn't
on
even
it.
have to swear because he's giving her more profits than expenses. But Amalei Bava, if so, if he has such an option, then he's going to do a trick. Means he's going to lie. And he only spent $500. And he'll say that what?
He's gonna say he spent a lot.
Right, as long as he makes a little bit less than their profits. He invested and their profits. In order to get away without a shua, he'll say a little bit less than the profits, and he'll say that really he spent much more than he really did. You can't let him off the hook without a shua just because he says that the expenses are less than the profits. Ravasi didn't mean that. That what Ravasi meant to say, that only if it's equal, he didn't mean to say that if the shavach is more, the lacha changes. If the shavach is more, the profit is more, then the expenses also is the same. But the chiddush is that if the expenses are more than the profits, like the case before, he spent 600, he only got 400 out of it. So then don't think he's allowed to get the whole hotel, he gets the whole expense, even more than the profits. and he takes away from the Karen even? No, he only has a right to get his expenses up to the amount of the profit. Did I say that right? So you say, well, if the expense was more than the profit, it wasn't a good deal. He spent more than he got back. But he only can take the expenses up to the amount of the profit. He can't take more.
And with the shore.
Well, and with a shvur, yeah, it doesn't lose the shvur. But the chiddush is that he doesn't take more. So we misunderstood the statement. We thought that he meant to say, Abai thought it meant that if the profit was more, he can get away without a shvur by saying if the sales less. So we said no, it's not true. You need a shvur. The chiddush is that if the profit was less than the investment, he can't get the whole profit.
That's right.
He can't get the whole investment. He only gets the investment up to the amount of the profit,
400, 600.
which we would have said also.
That's what we
Yeah.
found.
We thought also right. Next case. Next
Boileau.
case. Iboilu. Question. Baal shahorid arisin tachta mahu. The husband brought in workers. The husband is in charge of getting, he works the field. That's the wife's field, wife's estate. The husband is taking care of Paris. So he brings in workers to work the field and he gets a profit. And he pays the workers, whatever it is, a percentage, whatever it is.
Under his is under his jurisdiction.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And now he
So what's
divorces
the
her.
mao?
It's a question. What's the question? Then now he divorces her. And he leaves, right?
Uh-huh.
And let's say the case would be a case where he doesn't get anything. He ate a fig,
Mhm.
right? So he just leaves. We say goodbye. We say goodbye to the husband. You got your parents, goodbye. Now the workers have been working. And what did they get? The workers are supposed to get a percentage of the profits. But if he's who employed them? Who's considered their employer? If it's the husband's gone.
He's gone, he ate the profit.
He only has one fig. He doesn't get anything else. He'll give them a half a fig. His whole profit is a fig. If it's that they came to the field because of the husband. So when the husband leaves, so they leave with him. And they can't come to the wife and say, we worked your field and you got so much profit, so we're supposed to get half or more.
No,
So she says
he goes back.
no, nachas means that they went into to go down. They went down into the field
Because of him.
because of the husband. Means that he's the employer. So then when he leaves, so they can't come to the wife and say, we worked on your field and look at the profits, we get half the profits. She said, I don't know you. This is my husband, speak to him. He gets one fig. So that's one side. That they went down to work the field. They don't care who the owner is. They went down to work the field. And right now the field is, what do you do with a field? You get sharecroppers. What does the owner of a field do? They get workers in order to work the field and they share, they give a percentage of the profits to the workers and they get the rest. So they say that's what we are. So since the husband's gone, but you get the profits, so we get half of your profits. That was the question. Rav Chanan said, the one thing has two sides. The one side is that the husband leaves, they don't get anything. And the one is asking, what if somebody goes to another man's field? He doesn't know, the guy's not here. The owner of the field is not here. Someone goes in, not what do they call them guys? It's like a squatter. But the squatter means he goes in and enjoys it. This guy didn't go in to enjoy it. He went in to invest. He saw a field that's barren, no one's taking care of it. So he goes in and he fertilizes it, he plants it, he puts in a lot of money. And now the owner comes back and says, okay, very nice, thank you. But the owner does have a right to get back his expenses. He has the right to get back his expenses.
How about his labor?
I think it says maybe the amount that people would pay for such a thing. Well, let me see. I think I wrote it down. Just 1 second. I have a note. The one is asking, even outside you go with the husband, why should it be worse than if you would have gone to a field that nobody asked him to come into? The Gemara is two studies. Either they're working for her or they're working for him. On the side they're working for him, they don't get anything. And the Gemara is asking, even on that side that he's not working, but it was worse than somebody went into the field without asking anybody. There's some distinctions.
And they wouldn't get any profits, they would just get they improved it.
They
But
improved
without
it.
rishus.
Without rishus. So the guy says, like, I didn't ask
he
you.
was-
That might be a two study.
Yeah.
Sometimes they only get like the expenses. And
Had
sometimes
nothing
they'll,
to do with the working. And that's what the
right, that's the expenses, I think. The other is how much a person would, how much a person would give
would
for
hire.
such
make
a field, which would mean also, like you're saying, including some of the work. but they get, even if you went shalom rishus. So the more is asking, even on the side that you don't go, that they're working for the woman, they're working for the husband, but even so, it shouldn't be worse than working on a field that no one told them to come in. Also, they get something like a yored, shalom rishus. So why is this worse? The more says it's difference. Hasam, like an inish Torah.
No, sorry, what was the shamin
Shamalo, we
Did we give it?
Shamalo,
We didn't
we
give an answer.
evaluated for him. The other Allah Tatona. Yeah, Yada al means that he has the lower of the two. Means if the profit was less, he gets only the profit. If the expense was less, he invested and there came profits. If the profit is less than the expense, he doesn't get his whole expense. He only gets the profit. If the profit was more than the expense, he gets the expense, whichever one is less.
And was that a brisa or something?
That was does it say it's a brisa? I don't know. If it's a Mishnah or a brisa, I don't know.
Okay.
So that's the kasha over here. How come you have one side doesn't get anything? At least he should get like a Yorachil B'Rishus. The answer is awesome, like in the Torah. Baal the Torah. Rashi explains that in the case where a Yorachil B'Rishus gets something, that's because he tells the owner it was a barren field. Nothing was happening over there. It was empty. No one was taking care of it. So I took care of it. So, but over here, the woman says to the workers, if he wouldn't have hired you, my husband, my ex-husband, right? If he wouldn't have hired you, he would have worked it himself. He was the one who was in charge of it. So you can't tell me that for sure this is like an empty field that nobody's taking care of. It was he was responsible. He was responsible, but he got workers, but he would have worked himself. He also knows how to work. He's also a farmer. So he would have worked himself. If he would have worked himself, that's the halacha, that he ate one fig, he doesn't get any more. So I don't have to pay you. It's different than a Yerush B'Rishus. Yerush B'Rishus, the field is barren and no one's doing anything. So they tell the owner, we just gave you profit. We didn't, so you would have lost, you would have had nothing. But he actually tells them, no, if he wouldn't have worked, then he would have worked. If he would have worked, then he would have taken whatever he one fig, whatever he took, and I wouldn't have to give him anything more. So why should I have to give you more? So that's why the Gemara says it's a question. The Gemara has two studies.
That's much more than he could have handled.
Why?
It was a big field and he couldn't do it.
Okay, what about a case where it was a big field and he had to have workers? I don't know.
In general, that's what you expect.
Okay, maybe it's not almost such a big case, maybe a smaller case, but
she's
maybe you're right, Chaim David. Maybe in the case where he had to have workers, maybe that's true. Chaim David, you could be right that maybe if it's such a big field that you have to have workers, it's impossible for him to do. So maybe then that part there wouldn't be such a size. The Shaila is in a case where he could have worked himself, he knew how to do the business, and then she could say that
have to work it?
When?
She has
Right, he doesn't have to. He doesn't
Okay,
have
he
to.
doesn't have to. So her time is good no matter what. Even if it's a huge field. I brought it into the marriage. And if he wants payers, he can work it. If he doesn't.
Yes, but what if it would have? Yes, but again, the workers are speaking to the woman now. The workers say that why should we be less than if someone came into your field, but nobody called us to come. We're also eligible to the hotzah, the shevach, whichever one is less. And now you're telling us that we don't get anything because we're working for the husband and he got a fig. But he would have. She says that he would have worked on it.
Yeah.
Again, the question was that how come they have it sad? The woman tells them, goodbye, I don't know you. My husband hired you, so speak to him. He got one fig out of it. He doesn't have anything to give you. That's what the Gemara has sad. The Gemara asked, why should it be such a sad? Even on the sad that they're not working for her, they shouldn't be less than if they went into the field without asking anybody. And they should get at least the other. The answer is that she tells them no. In the regular case, you're right. If Hadass had a barren field, he would have come in, you're right. But this field that my husband was taking care of, so he would have taken care of without workers. He wanted workers, he was a lazy guy, whatever, he got workers, he could have done it himself. If he could have done it himself, so then I didn't gain by you coming in, I lost by you coming in. Because if he would have worked by himself, once he took some kind of payros, even one fig, so then I don't owe him anything else. And now you want to take Yada ala Tichtona? That's the Gemara's question. So again, the question is maybe she's working for the wife and she have a regular din of hours, they get the regular sharecropper's fee or percentage, or they're working for the husband, and on that side the Gemara says maybe they get nothing.
What's my Haviyallah?
My Haviyallah, like what's about that? What's the maskana? What do we hold about this question? What is going to be about that question? First, the Gemara had a side.
Now that we know her.
Right.
Okay.
We look. If the husband, he knows how to work the field, he's a farmer. So then is the likulahu. So then the husband leaves and they leave also.
Wow.
Because why? Because like you said, that she says that my husband is a oris, so he would not, he knows how to work by himself. He didn't need you. So if he didn't work for me, he worked for him. Right. But iba lav orisu. But if the husband is not a worker and he would have hired workers, then arala risi kaima, then she has to pay as if they would have been regular workers. Not only does it make it up to be a Arish, it makes it to be that they're working for her.
That's the Ara is the land, right? What's Ara?
Ara la risikaima, that the land is standing to be rented out to sharecroppers, and therefore, she'd have to pay the same way that a sharecropper would have paid. And at the end of that Gemara, a new Gemara. Ibailahu. Baal shemocha karka lepeiros. Mahu. What do we say? The husband has a right to eat the fruit. The woman owes the estate, and the husband gets the profits. What if he sold the profits? Means he sells the rights, his rights. He wants to sell his rights to somebody else. He's not selling the actual fruit. If he takes the fruit, he harvests the fruit and sells it. That's regular case. But he sells to somebody else the profit rights. Could he do that?
He's not really selling the land. He's selling the land for the fruits.
Right, which means the same right that he has. He's giving over what he has. The wife owns the principal, and he has the profit rights, and he wants to sell his profit rights to somebody else. Why not? No, but whatever he's calling, he's makne, whatever he got, he's giving. Whatever schus the Rabbanim gave him, so he's selling it. He could do that. We didn't have this yet. Mishum Ravach Beisa. The reason why the Rabbanim gave him payros is that there should be more money in the house. Nusfar, we didn't have it. I think we didn't have this ever yet. Why did the Rabbanim say payros? Nusfar, we had before payros tachas perkuna because he's going to redeem us, so they gave him the payros. The Moshe says it throws in another thing now. They want to give the husband payros in a way that his income that he gets from his wife's estate should cause that she have money, and there's more money in the household for the wife also. The wife benefits from the husband getting the payros since he has money coming in from his wife's estate. So he works it, he brings out the payros, and then there'll be more money for the wife also. But here, that he's just taking the price, the lump sum that he takes from selling those rights. It more doesn't see that she's going to gain from that. Rashi says over here.
Does it end with Rebbe Besa?
Yes, no, but maybe he doesn't have a right to sell it. Rashi says, that maybe the reason why they gave Paris is that he should bring the Paris into his house. Maybe the point of Paris means either the actual fruit, the food that grows, the apples that grow, or means the profits that get out of the rent. So then there's going to be food. There'll be food available for the woman. The Yetivla, they'll be giving to his wife. That the wife also gains from the husband having the payros. But if he's going to sell those rights, then he's ready to. It's in the business. It's put straight into the business. It's like lump sums, and it's not that he's bringing more revach into the home. So according to that, he wouldn't be able to sell it. That's the most question. So it's the first time we have such a svara that the purpose of payros includes also that the wife gains from it also, and therefore he wouldn't be able to sell those rights because then the wife's not going to get it. Yehuda bar. So that's a question. The answer is top line. Pay him at base. Yehuda mar bar merema mishmei the Rava Omar masha asa osam. Papa Omar mishmei the Rava lo asa v'loklum. So it's machlokes what Rava said. Everyone's quoting Rava. We didn't have him usually. Yehuda mar bar merema. He said in the name of Rava that he could sell it. If he sold it, it's sold. Masha asa osa. If he sold it, it's sold. I don't know if it says lachatchila.
Profit rights.
Right. He sold his profit right, so it's sold. It doesn't say lachatchila, but it says if he did it, he did it. I don't know why it says such a lashon, but it says if he did it, it's done.
Even though the wife won't pay.
Right. Means that he owes that. That's not the svara. The svara is, but if you ever gave it to you, and if you want to sell it, you can sell it. It doesn't hold the svara of Ravach Beisa. But Papa said in the name of Rava, loss of a lokalum, and he owes another svara probably. Ravach Beisa here there's no Ravach Beisa, so therefore he has no right to sell it. Amar Papa. How do you now?
Why isn't it river based? I mean, the fruits that are coming in, there are fruits that come in.
The fruits are coming in. That's going to the buyer. He sold it. The husband sold it. The husband sold the profit rights, and that's all going to him. And he got a lump sum. Probably that lump sum he doesn't bring it into the house. That's going to be a lump sum that's going to go into his bank, into his investments. That's in his business world. But you don't see that he's. I guess what the Gemara means that the money that he gets for selling it, you're not going to see it. And you're not going to see any ramifications of that in the kitchen in his house. You're not going to see it on the table.
But he's still going to work the field. He has an obligation to keep working the field.
No, that the buyer does. The buyer does that. The buyer does that. He sold all those rights.
The woman owns the field. She retains the value.
Yes, she owns the principal. She owns the ground, but he has the rights to work it and get out.
It's almost like an oris, but it's not an oris, right? Because it's not a percentage; it's a lump sum.
Right. So there were two people over here. Maybe we'll just try to highlight. Maybe it makes it easier. The two Mandiyamim here were Yehuda Mar Bar Merema, and he said in the name of Rava, and also Rav Papa spoke in the name of Rava, and they quoted him opposite. They quoted him the two opposite ways. He said that it works. He said it doesn't work. Now Rav Papa is going to say that my colleague Yehuda Mar Bar Merema that quoted Rava, he got the story wrong. Amar Rav Papa, how do Yehuda Mar Bar Merema labeferish mar el machlolet mar? But Yehuda Bar Merema understood in the name of Rava, he didn't hear Rava saying so explicitly. There was a story that happened, and that's how he derived from the story, but he got it wrong. So there was a story. I'll tell you what the story was that Yehuda Mar Bar Merema got it from Rava. Yeah. There was a woman who brought in to her husband 2 shvachos. She came into the marriage with 2 shvachos. Amasa, like Amasa, two shvachos. Oslo Gavra Nasib Vitzachmiti, the husband married another woman. Besides, he didn't divorce her. He got another wife, a second wife. And Ayla Chadaminayu, and he took one of the maidservants and gave it as a maidservant to his second wife. The first wife wasn't happy about that. She brought in two maidservants, and now one of the maidservants,
one of the wives
brought in two maidservants.
And he
got married to a second wife, and he gave one of the maidservants to serve the other wife. And really, what's the point? That they belong to her. They belong to her. Yeah, but he gets the profits. Means he gets the use of these maidservants. So he gave it to another wife. That's the profits. He's allowed to use the profits. So he's saying it's none. So it could be. I think this is an example of a thing. Maybe of Gemara is that the Gemara is not talking if it's mentioned or not. The Gemara is talking about the Suyot and Bezdin. Does he have the right to do it or not? So I think it's a yisod maybe to look in the Gemara. When the Gemara talk about a lot of these cases, it doesn't mean that it's the best midos, but it means, but he has a right. There are a lot of times people have rights, but yeah, mensch, that's not the Gemara subject right now.
Way to ruin the marriage.
So the first wife came to Rabbi to complain. He took my maidservant and he gave it to the other wife, my tzara. She was complaining, but Rabbi didn't pay attention. He said, like, she has no time. Tzafka, she was crying, she was screaming, and Rabbi didn't pay attention. He said, like, she has no time, no right to stop him. Again, doesn't mean that he's doing the smart thing, but halachically he has the right. So why? Why did he have a right to do that? The Gemara, whoever saw the story thought the reason is because it's like he sold the Paris, means he gave away the Paris. Right. The same way somebody, it's my Paris of mine. I have the right to have the Paris. I could sell it to somebody. So here he took the Paris and he gave it to somebody else. He gave it to his wife.
But you have to define the Paris. The Baal is making a definition that the Paris is to take one of the shvachot and give it out.
No, the Paris means the work of the shifcha. That's called the Paris. What's called the Paris of a shifcha or an eved? The person, the eved or the shifcha is owned by the owner, but the work that they do, that's the Paris. What is the eved, the shifcha?
Yeah,
that's the work. Her work is the pri. So he told her, work for my other wife. So the work that she does, she's going to clean, she's going to do laundry, she's going to whatever, carry the packages to the grocery store, from the grocery store. So that's the Paris. That's so he's saying these Paris that I could take the shifcha and use it for myself. I used to tell her to do the washing machine, whatever.
He could have taken both shifchas.
Well, he could have taken even both if he wanted to. Yeah. But he has the right to benefit from her shvachos, so he's benefiting. What does he want to do? He wants to give it to somebody else. He gave it to his other wife.
She herself uses the shvachos for her own use, and she needs to shift.
She has no right to use all the shifcha. It's his
like
shifcha.
She's not using it.
Does he have to give her a shifcha?
Because he owns everything that she brings into the marriage.
She owns it, and he uses it.
She owns it. She has the care.
If she has a tree, he takes the apple.
I'm seeing how that's called Paris.
The Paris is the work. What's the Paris of a tree?
The tree is the fruit that comes off the tree.
Yeah, what's the Paris of an eved?
She works.
So that's it. No, so that's it. So the work is called the pri. The pri.
Yeah, but
so that produce the same way you can take the apples of his tree and give it to another wife. One wife bought in the tree.
Yeah.
Apple tree.
2 trees.
Yeah. Okay, nice. He bought in 2 trees.
Yeah.
And he got married a second wife. So he tells the first wife, this tree, you eat the apples. And the other tree, the other one eat the apples. I don't have to give anybody apples. It's my apples. But I want to give you some of the apples. I'll give you some of the apples. Sarah had 2 shvachos, very nice. So the Paris of the shvachos that they work, and the work is all for mine. So you could use one. But he gave away. The more looking like he gave away the Paris to somebody else. And the more things, if you can't do that, if you can't sell the Paris, you shouldn't be able to, if you can't sell the Paris to somebody else, the schus of the Paris, he shouldn't be able to take the Paris and give it to his other wife.
Right.
That's how the Gemara looks at it. But Rav Papa said that's a mistake. Below whoever derived that made a mistake. Mishim Rabach Beisa, Rabach. I'll tell you really that as far as true, that he could not sell it, he cannot sell it. Rav Papa said, I heard from Rabbi that he said he cannot sell it because Rabach Beisa, there has to be more money coming in, there has to cause there should be more Revach in the household, that the woman should benefit. And here there is Revach Beisa, because when the shifcha is around, for the second wife, the first wife also benefits. Means she does laundry, she goes to the grocery, whatever. The first wife is also benefiting from it. So it doesn't prove.
Even though it isn't for her directly.
Even though it's not for her directly, but she's also benefiting.
Because she
lives there too.
They live in the same house. They're over there. So when
it's hard to convince her that she's going to benefit by him giving away her.
It wasn't giving away. He didn't have to give her 2 shvachos till now. She had 1 shifcha. The other shifcha he used in the store, whatever, to clean up the store. and now he gave it to another wife. So she says, you're giving away the Paris to not something, you're selling the Paris to somebody else, you're giving it as a present to somebody else. He says, no, she's in the household together
She's
with
part of
you,
the household.
and you're also benefiting when she goes to the grocery store, when she
Yeah,
washes,
that's what he
mops the
gets,
floor.
that's enough.
So there's more Rav Besa either way. So he says it's not a proof that anybody says that you're allowed to do it. It could be Rav Besa is true that he's not allowed to sell the Paris profit, the Paris rights. We're saying that Rav Besa is maybe true. And even
Oh,
though there's a story that's
not
saying to
allowed.
be the difference, that story is not the case because
in
there
this
was
case-
Rav
Oh, this
Besa.
was the case.
Right, they
Right.
stayed in the house.
That's the only reason why Yehuda Rema thought so, is because the story happened, and that's why he derived from there that you
was a
could
general
sell
rule.
the pre, but that's not the case, because in this particular case,
Who
the
straightened
wife
him
was
out?
also.
The
So there was
Paki
no-
straightened him
For
out?
Ilchasa, I'm sorry.
Who straightened?
Rav Papa.
The Papa said that my colleague made a mistake. Yehuda Bar Miremar said on the name of Rava, but Papa saying now he said that because he had the story, but it's a mistake. He derived the wrong thing. The Gemara continues for Ilchasa. That he cannot sell the Paris, he cannot sell the source of the Paris. It's just so far it sounds because of Rav Besa, right? That's what it sounds like. The one top line said the reason is because of Rav Besa. The other Gemara says it's not a possible svara. My timer, we had already a svara, but here the Gemara says two svaras. Rav Amar Mishum Rav Besa. So Rav Besa we had before. That was the top line. The Gemara assumed Rav's reason, as Rav said on top of the page. Rav Besa. But
So it was tax.
Taxif means that he's going to ruin the field. Taxif, somewhere, Taxif said that the field is going to get ruined. Why is that?
It's going to get ruined if he sells his profit rights.
Right. Why is that? So Rashi explains that someone buys someone what?
I can understand that.
Why?
Because they're not, they're
don't care.
not honest, so they'll use
not
it when they
theirs.
want, how they want. to-
Right. Mashenkin the owner, Mashenkin the husband. You have to say,
Right.
you have to figure out that Mashenkin the husband.
Because his wife owns it.
And if he
therefore,
doesn't, and if he doesn't produce, it's gonna be bad news for you. He's gonna be say you lazy, I don't want to say names.
Okay.
Get out of here.
Rashi says also that he has a possibility he might dash in it one day. He might inherit. He might inherit one day. If she dies in his lifetime, he has a handle on it that it's not worth just to milk it and take out.
It's not just for
Because
so
So he wants it to
right.
remain.
You can answer these reasons also. You can say the reason is because Shalom Bayis. Also, whatever you want to say, but the husband will work the field more
Yes.
than the buyer of the
Right,
property.
because he'll never own it. He
Right. He
can't
has
never
no
own
right.
it.
Right. So therefore, that's what Abai said. The reason why he can't sell the Paris rights because he might ruin the field
There you
without investing anything. But the husband will invest to take care of the field. So my time, we said that. My benai was the difference between these two reasons. Abai said because of Shema Taxif, Abai said because Shema Rav Besa. Is the difference between the two. Both of them say you cannot sell the Paris rights. The one says a few communities. If the land is near the city. So Rashi says that you see what's happening. It's not like it's out in the hill Hicks. You see it. So therefore, that's
If the
Rashi
land
says
is near the city,
that he's going to see if it's being ruined. It means that the buyer is scared just to just to milk it out, take everything profit, and not to take care of it because
would mean that it would be allowed.
what?
It would be allowed. I thought we said the law says that it's not allowed.
It's not allowed. What's
Because
not
it's
allowed?
For him to sell the
No,
property.
we're saying that depends. That's what we're saying. On Nafkamina. According to the two reasons in Nafkamina. If the only reason is because he's going to ruin the field, he'd be allowed to send it if it's within here, between the
Yeah,
eye
okay.
sight.
Mhm.
Because he's under inspection.
he'll
He
keep-
could see.
Ah,
He could
keep
sell it in a way that he'll still be able to see if it's being taken care of.
Mhm.
So there's no chash. But if the reason is because Ravach Besa, so there's no Ravach Besa.
Okay, it's also like a property, yeah. If somebody has a property close by
So you
and
have.
he's renting it out,
He's
he can see if they're gonna
yeah,
ruin it or not,
Right,
but
right.
if it's in a different town,
then he doesn't
he
see.
doesn't have as much.
So that's what the
control
Gemara is
over
saying. That if it's nearby, so according to buy, he would be able to sell it, sell the profit rights according to Rav, but he may not because no Ravach Besa. Inami Bal Orasu. Rashi says that if the husband himself is the one who's working in the field, it means he sells the profits, but the husband is still the one who's working over there. The husband, he sold the profits, but he's still working in the field. He's the one who's working in the
That's
field.
the deal he made.
it. What does that mean?
That
He made the deal
he's-
with the owner, with the new buyer.
He's
You-
about
you-
Oris.
The Baal is the Oris.
Yeah.
Baal, the
That means he's
husband,
gonna get a percentage?
Yeah,
he's
he's the
he's
moicher and the aris.
he
He's the
sold.
moicher and that becomes an
This,
aris.
this
He
is
sold
very
the profit. 1 second, please. He sold the profit rights. Now this owner, the one who bought it, he has the
Let's say,
right,
okay, give me $1,000 and it'll be.
and now the profit rights are yours.
Yeah.
Now, what does the buyer? What does he do with his profit rights? He has to work the field in order to bring out the profits, right?
So why
so
not
he has-
hire me? It's very convenient. I
Right.
live here.
Right.
He did.
So he did, and there's no chance that they're not taking
Right.
because the husband's taking care of it. The husband wants to
Right.
make sure it takes care of it.
That's what I'm saying. The business world, people sell their businesses, and they're the monsters in the business.
That's
But the bigger company buys because they got tons of money.
And they get a
buy
high,
him,
they
they
become a
buy
high
him
worker.
to continue
To
for 6
continue.
years or 5
So it's
years.
similar
You'll
thing.
continue with us. We'll give you
That's what happened to
an
my
acceptable
uncle.
wage,
Okay.
a very good wage. It'll be good for you, and
Mhm.
will be good for us.
And the third nafkamina, inami zuzi v'ka'avidu iska. Rashi says that the money that the husband got from this sale, he sold the profit rights and he got money right away. And he does business with it. The Ika Ravach Besa. I said before I didn't have, Rashi helps out from the beginning with more. How come there's no Ravach Besa when he sells it? So Rashi says he doesn't do anything with the money, puts it in the safe deposit box.
Yeah.
If he gets Paris the whole time, so then there's Paris in the house also, in the kitchen and the dining room. Yeah, Paris over there also. Money comes in, the rent comes in. But if it's something that he just puts away and it's going to go into the safe deposit box, so then the wife's not going to see any of that money. But here, if when he sells it, he sells the profits and he got a lump sum, but this lump sum he does business. He doesn't just have a lump sum and put it away. He invests it. So then again, money's coming in again. So then the wife is benefiting. Rav would permit it, and Rabbi would not.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so can he give one of the two maids to?
That the Gemara said according to either that you could.
They
Okay,
could.
according to both.
Right.
But I
That's
think
what
it
the Gemara
shows-
said. Even the old Rav Besa also because the river is Rav Besa. But again, if it's a menschlich, that's another
I
question.
know.
But in the story, we see about human nature, that a woman, even though he has the rights to it, the fact that they both belong to her, she feels like
You're
she has
taking-
some
you're
kind of
taking
a
it away
hold
from
on, you're
her.
taking away my thing.
Right. It could be if he would have. It could be if he would have sold the doings, the workings of the maidservant to somebody else. It wouldn't have bothered her.
Right.
But that it's
That it
given to
goes
her,
to
the
her,
co-wife, so that was the
co-wife.
problem. Could be. Yes, all these things. It
That's
could be
why
that.
Rabbeinu Geshe was a very smart man. He made no second wife. It's this crazy stuff. It should never work.
The next Mishnah, Shemes Yavam Shenaflo and Achasim. So we had, maybe I could go back to that diagram we had. We had, can I fish it up someplace over here?
Shamir
Remember
Siyavam.
the diagram we had that there was the when she got the Chasim after she was already Erisin, after Erisin,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she.
The
Right,
Machelos with the
Right.
two,
We had the green, the orange, and the red. So over there was a machlokes in the middle. In the middle case, there was a case where she got the nechasim after Erisin, and she sells it before Nisuin. So we said machlokes b'sham b'silo. The Shammai said that you're allowed to do it. Lachatchila malachas v'tenas v'kan. This still says he made lachatchila don't. If she did it, masha machro machro. That was the case by a regular arusa. And now we're going further. We have this Mishnah. Yevamos says on the side. Yevamos 38. So we have this Mishnah, and this Mishnah is a continuation of the Mishnah before. So how about a Shemes Yavam? Her husband died without children, and now she's waiting for Yibum, and the same thing happened. The Chassim came to her. The Chassim fell.
You said
And-
somebody died.
Yeah, every Yavam. Whenever you have a Yavam, the case is because somebody
Oh,
died.
Shamir
Right?
Siyavam. Oh, you're right.
Shemes Yavam means the husband died without children, and now she's waiting for the Yavam. She's a Shemeres Yavam, and now before he married her, she got an inheritance. So is she allowed to sell it? So if it would have been a regular arusa, we said the Shammai says yes, but Yisrael says no. Lachatchila don't sell it. But over here it says more than Shammai Beisel Shemaches v'Nasenes v'Kayim. Even Beisel before that said that arusa Lachatchila should not sell it. Only with the evidence if she sold it, it's Kayim. But Lachatchila don't. But here Beisel's moda that she made Lachatchila sell it.
Why?
Because the husband, it seems so far that the husband, the Yavam, doesn't have any hold on it. By the Yarusa, that the Orus has more of a hold on his wife's nechasim than the Yavam. That's the without any explanation. That's what it seems to say. The Mishnah continues. The husband died without children, and now the wife is falling to Yibum, and she's waiting, and she got an inheritance, and she wants to sell it before she gets married. So everyone holds that she could. Even though by a regular Arusa, if she's a state of Arusa, but it still says Lachatchila don't sell it. That was the orange case over there. He's more there. If it be Shemes Yavam, she would Lachatchila be allowed to sell it.
Kind of marriage. It's not like
Right, so it's
married
less of a
choice,
marriage.
it's
It's less of a
married by
marriage.
mitzvah.
It's okay. So it's less of a marriage. It's not married yet. It's only she's on deck. So that is less than Erison. Erison, he has a little bit of a hold on it. He still said, but here there's no hold on it. Even Lachatchila, she's allowed to sell it. I'll give it away. Next question. I'm sorry. I hope I missed that. Yeah, I missed it. I made that in the wrong place. Okay, I got it right. Mesa, if she died,
No, she died after she sold it? Is that-
No, new story. Shemes Yavam, and she inherited and she died.
Okay.
Or even
She didn't get
No,
She
there
got
isn't
money.
evidence. The ksuba. She died. She died as a shemeres yavam. So the ksuba, which is coming, her husband died, so the ksuba is coming to her. So what do you do with that? Whose Yoshim does it go to? Does it go to her Yoshim, or does it go to the Yavam, who's the Yorish? The Yavam, Yashin is his brother. The Yavam gets the Yerusha that the brother,
The Shomer's Yavam dies.
She died. So now there's ksuba owed to her, that she didn't get because her husband died. She's owed the ksuba, and she didn't collect on it because it was a Yavam, but she died. Does the ksuba go to her Yoshim, or does it go? That is still the brother. The brother's her husband's Yoshim, which is the brother.
What about if the parents are still alive?
We're not going into who's the Yoshim. We're talking about whose parents.
The Nifta.
So the Yerusha goes to the Yavam. It doesn't go to the parents. It goes to the Yavam. Maybe he's saying that he didn't do Yibum yet. So okay, I didn't go. So I don't know. But the question is does it stay in her family or does it go to his family? The ksuba. So the pashut, I just try to read a simple pshat in the Mishnah. It could be the Gemara is going to say differently, but the ksuba, the pashut would be the ksuba that's owned to her, 100, 200, whatever, the ksuba of 100 or 200 that's supposed to come to her. So she didn't cash in on it because there was a yavam over there. She was going to do yibum, but she died first. So who does that money go to? Does it go to her Yarshim? Does it go to his Yarshim? Also, the Chasam and the Chasam.
There's no children.
He has a
There's no
brother.
children.
He has a brother.
She has a brother.
He has the brother.
No,
he's the
said-
Yibum.
You said they go to the there you go. She who died, she didn't have children, right? That's
She
You
could
may
have.
have
She might have had children also. What's the difference? She has Yarshim. She might have had children. Yibum has to do with the husband.
from a different husband.
Yeah, or she has a father, whatever it is. She has
That's what I
relatives.
mean, yeah.
And
Maya, isn't Maya Suba?
What should they do?
Is a question, isn't it?
yes.
Okay.
What should
Okay,
they? What
yes,
should
what
yeah,
should they
yes,
do
yes.
with the
What should
ksuba?
what should they do with the ksuba, which is let's say 200, or the properties that should come in and go out with her. What is that? That's called nifsei tzon barzel. We said that there are two kinds of ways a woman could bring in property, either as nifsei melug or as nifsei tzon barzel. Nifsei tzon barzel means that they evaluate how much it's worth when she comes into the marriage, and the husband has to pay that amount when she leaves. The same amount. No difference if it got more expensive, if it got cheaper, or got lost. He has to pay that amount of money. So who gets that? She bought in nechasim, and now she died. She bought in nechasim, and now she died. Who does that go? Does it go to her Yorshim, or does it go to his Yorshim?
So it says it goes to her.
Now it's interesting because the beginning of the Mishnah said that the Yavam has no hold on it. It says the first case said that he has no hold on it. She's allowed to sell it. It sounds like he doesn't have any rights yet. But here it says it's not so simple. That is it possible that there are rights of the Yavam already, and that's the Mishnah is going to say that it's not so simple. And needs explanation. How come in the first case we said that Yavam has no rights and she's not even to sell her properties?
Mhm.
And here it talks about that if she died, then all of a sudden there are some rights of the husband. The Yavam has some kind of rights over here. So it says, what do you do with it? We don't know. So Machlokes B'Shama B'Yisrael, B'Shama Yomim Yachloku Yorshi Abal and Yorshi Yachloku, that they divided. Either the 200 or the Nifsei Tzon Barzel, that's in question. So it's a suffix, who's supposed to get it? So they divided. That's by Shama. B'Yisrael says, Nechasim B'Chaskasan. I'll say the simple pshat in the words, even though the Gemara might say differently. Nechasim B'Chaskasan means leave everything in the Chazaka. Leave everything, so to speak, status quo. What status quo? That Ksuba B'Cheskas Yorshei Abal. Nechasim and Nechasim B'Cheskas Yorshei Abal. The Ksuba, let's say the 200. So it belongs to him. He's supposed to pay 200, but it's still his money. The ksuba, if you say it means the 200, so it means that it's his money. And the question is, does he have to pay the 200? So the chazaka, the muhsak, who's the muhsak? The husband. It's his money. So therefore, that stays in the husband's family. But in the chasnim and chasnim yosimima is becheskas yoshei ha'av, which would mean the woman's family. Why is that? Because that's hers. It belongs to
Karen, sir?
that the Karen belongs to her. So therefore, it stays by the chazaka, so it stays by her family. I just read the Mishnah very simply. It could be we'll change as we go along in the Gemara, but some kind of basic reading of the Mishnah. Next case. What if hiniach achiv ma'os? What if there's this case is not going when she died anymore? This hiniach achiv ma'os is not talking about anybody died. I think let's try to read the Mishnah like that.
dead
husband that
husband,
died.
yeah.
So he left over Yerusha. So now what's the halacha? The husband yarshes the Yerusha. The Yavam Yash gets the Yerusha, but she's owed the ksuba, and the ksuba comes from the money of that estate that her husband died.
Right.
So we don't allow him to sell, even though he yarshes it, but he can't sell it because it's meshubed to the ksuba. Since one day he might end up giving the ksuba to the wife if he divorces her or if he dies. So then the Yerusha goes to the wife. So we don't let him sell any of the estate that he inherited from his brother.
You'll talk to him, carcass sounds like land.
Right. I'm just giving Akdam. I didn't get the words yet. Just a reka, like the background. The
He
background
gets
is,
money, he's not allowed to sell it.
Right.
He can't use that money to buy something, is that what you mean?
Right. He can't spend the money.
He can't spend the
He can't.
money.
So what do? He got a Yerusha that he's not allowed to spend because we have to keep it around. If she ever needs ksuba, she should have what to get the ksuba from. So
Okay,
if he got land, so keep the land. If he got money,
keep the money.
so change it. Don't just waste it. Just
Oh.
put it in safe
Oh,
deposit
you
box.
can't spend it, but he should
But he
change it
should
to.
change it in a way that
Invest
he should be able to get something out of
Right.
it. You look up and karka, who are payros. So they should buy something that should be able to generate money. So they buy karka and he gets the payros, but he's not allowed to sell the karka.
Because we're saving it for her ketubah.
Right. And even though it's more than the ksuba, let's say the ksuba is 200 and this is 1,000, you're not allowed to sell. The most Mishnah is going to say soon, you're not allowed to sell anything. You have to keep all the karka ready to pay the ksuba.
Because and anytime. I mean,
And by Yavam.
Shomer, there's a Shomer's Yavam.
The Yavam, right? The Yavam who now
Yeah.
married his Yavam, he married her.
Oh, he married her.
He married her, but he's not allowed to sell any of the inheritance. He inherited from his brother. His brother. He's the one who inherits the Yerusha, but he's not allowed to sell it because he has to keep it available for the ksuba if she's ever to collect ksuba.
So it's kind of like it's hers.
You got a better.
It's
It's
like
put
in-
aside for her.
put aside for her.
Escrow. What do you call it? Escrow.
In a
Is that what
sense, but then
called?
it's like it's
It's put
like
aside.
It's not being
property
used.
that's her because he can eat the payers.
I got
He
it.
can work.
Yeah, it has that same status, but it's
Why?
really, you could call it maybe that it's
In
his, but it's
escrow.
designated for
But in
ksuba.
escrow, yeah.
I mean, maybe that's the wrong legal
Why
term.
put it such a big all on him? Let him take 200.
Why only 200? Why only 200? In other words, why only 200?
Put it in
Why
a
take
bank
everything?
account that's fixed for her.
Or why can't you take a piece of land?
Whatever you want.
But
Call it what
only-
you want. But
Why
just-
do everything?
Why
So I
do the
don't-
whole thing? It's a
right.
very.
So I don't know what the Mishnah is going to say soon. Maybe the Gemara will explain tomorrow. But here the case first is if he left over money, so change that into karka and he can eat the paris. How about if she left over paris solution in a karka? So that's also like money, no difference. Paris solution means that it's paris that are
Already
reaped
cooked,
already.
already
So
cooked.
it's like metaltalin.
Already
So what do you do
picked.
with that? So also it's his Yerusha,
That's right.
but change it into something that can make
That's
profits.
right.
He lock up in karka, walk up paris. Again, the same thing that they should buy karka and he could generate the paris when he eat that. How about mechubarin bekarka? That he inherited from his brother land and also
They're still growing.
it's still growing. So what she says over here,
He's lucky. It's gonna be Shemitah kind of thing.
here it says it sounds very similar to the mission before, but here Rashi says the reason is because whatever grows in his in the rishus of the dead man is part of the ksuba. So therefore, the paris that grew, that when the husband died, there were paris growing. That's also meshubah to the ksuba. You have to change that also into karka. So therefore, paris hamukubarim bekarka. Where's that? Paris hamukubarim bekarka. Omer Rab Meir, someone else can come and yafin the paris will come and yafin below paris. You evaluate how much the paris are worth means how much land would be worth if it wouldn't have any paris growing on it. How much it's worth together with the paris, and that amount, hamosa, the difference. You look up and karka v'ochel paris. Again, you're translating that into something that could generate money. But that's all meshubah to the karka. So no different meshubah to the ksuba. No difference if he inherited money or paris solution or paris mechubarim. It's all meshubah to the. It's all meshubah. Of course, if it's karka, let's leave the karka and let it generate paris. But the karka is meshubah to the ksuba. Also, the paris that were mechubah to the karka also is meshubah to the ksuba. So how do you do that? You translate that into karka. You
sell it,
evaluate
you buy land.
with that value of how much would have been the difference between the karka with paris, karka without paris. But Chachamim moment, paris hamechubarim b'karka shelo. That no, that's not meshubah to the ksuba. For some reason, it's not meshubah to the ksuba. Rashi says wait for the Gemara. How come the Chachamim say that the paris that are meshubah to the karka is not meshubah to the ksuba, and he just takes that's his Yerusha. That has nothing to do with her. That's not meshubah to the ksuba. How about hatlushin min karka? So that was simple. Before the Gemara said hatlushin min karka, Rashi says money also. Money and paris hatluzhin. So we would have said before the Mishnah said that's meshubah to the ksuba. Here it says not so simple. This chacham kol kodim zacha. Whoever comes first gets it. Kadamu Zacha, Kadmahi Laka Ben Kaka V'Orchel Peres. That Rashi says that Machloka here it says the Rashi over here is by the corner of the Rashi. That the metaltalin is not meshubah to the ksuba. So money or Paris solution or any kind of metaltalin is not meshubah to the ksuba only if she has it. Only Elam came tough, so only if she grabbed it from in the lifetime of the husband. First Rashi, first one. So therefore, the Chachamim say that we don't say that it belongs to the ksuba and he has to translate it into karka in order to hold on to it because it's not meshubah to the ksuba. But it says if she did grab it before the husband died, then it is meshubah to the ksuba. That's why it says the depends who grabbed it. That if she grabbed it, doesn't mean Rashi says in his lifetime. If she was zocha in it before the husband died, so then it's meshubah to the karka. Zacha behen kadam hu zacha. If he got it first before the brother died, he took those metaltalin, so then it's his not meshubah to the ksuba. But kadmahi, but if she got it first, so then it's meshubah to the ksuba. What does that mean? It's not hers. It's meshubah to the ksuba. What do? You lock up and karka v'orchel peros. The same way that we did the whole time. That you have to make sure that it doesn't go away, but he's allowed to eat the peros out there. The Mishnah continues a little bit more about yibum over here. Once he marries her, so then it's considered his wife. That was going to say what he's doing over here. We know that once he marries her, he's considered his wife. There's one difference from a regular wife. By regular wife, the ksuba is on the shibud is on the husband's property, but by yivama, it's only on the first husband's property. It means the ksuba is not on the second husband, on the brother's property. The yavam, he doesn't have to be mishabed his karka to the yivama that he took, but on the brother, the part that he yashin, that's mishabed to the ksuba. Like I said, he's not allowed to sell it, but it's not like a regular wife that the ksuba is mishabed to all of his karka. Lo yom, this is what Chaim David wanted. Chaim David wanted that only make certain $200 worth should be 200 zuz worth should be. So it says lo yom Allah reik ksuba sach menachas ala shulchan. You shouldn't say that here's the 200 zuz that's designated for your ksuba. We'll put it on the table. We'll put it in a safe deposit box, and this is designated for you if you ever need ksuba. No, all of his property, all of his estate that he yarshed from his brother, that's all meshubah to the ksuba. He's not allowed to sell it. So you're saying why? I don't know the answer. Maybe the was going to talk about it. By your wife also, we can't say this is what's designated for you and nothing else is designated. Now, by the husband doesn't mean he's not allowed to sell it. The husband is allowed to sell his property, but there's a shibud on it. But he can't say that the shibud is only on this and nothing else is meshubed. The shibud is on all his nechasim, whatever he sells. If the wife needs a place later on to collect the ksuba, she can go to any property that the husband sold.
This was Moshe's kasha before. He said, let him put away,
Right. Well, I'm talking about by a wife. That it says a wife and a yavama. But by yavama, there's a difference. Yavama, he's not allowed to sell it at all. But a wife, he is allowed to sell it. But there is a shibud on it. Kirsha, if he divorced her, if yavam divorces the wife, Ela ela ksuba. She only gets the ksuba. That makes sense, right? That's what she gets. Means even though the whole thing was set aside for her, but Lamaisa, if he divorces, she only gets the ksuba, whatever it is, 200 zuz, whatever it was.
And the rest of his brother's property.
Now is his inheritance. Now he keeps it. Hechzira, if he takes her back, he took her back. Then after he divorced, took her back. Then she's like any other woman, and you don't have the special halachos over here that the yavam cannot sell anything. She's a regular wife now, and the same way took any wife.
Anybody would want to just divorce and get rid of that all. What happens?
Then he has to give her. Then he pays her ksuba. Then he paid her ksuba. If he divorced her, he pays her ksuba. So that's a lot of money. In those days, it was.
But if he remarries her, then all bets are off, and all his property is going to be meshubah.
So I think that a regular wife, yes, meshubah, but he's allowed to sell it. I think there's a difference between a yavama and a regular wife. A yavama, he's not allowed to sell the property. He's not allowed to sell the property. There's a freeze on it. He's not allowed to sell the property that he inherited from his brother.
Yeah.
A husband, a regular husband and wife, he's allowed to sell his property, but there's a shibud on it. There's everything that he acquired from.
So he's allowed to sell it.
He's allowed to sell it, and there's shibud. There's a lien on it. If ever the wife has to collect,
but his brother's property,
he's not allowed to sell.
He's not allowed to sell, and once he retakes her back after divorce,
And she's a regular wife.
And she's a regular wife, and he could sell it with the shibud.
Right. I think. Everybody. Tomorrow we're meeting in Menachem Tzion. tomorrow,
Menachem
Menachem
Zion,
Zion, at 11 o'clock, Menachem
at
Zion.
11 o'clock.
And I'll try to get a Wi-Fi over there if we could, but otherwise there's no, there won't be, I've been listening, I don't know if we could somehow arrange, if somebody has a phone and these things that have a mobile spot, or hotspot, whatever, everybody knows how to get any connection, then we can do it.
No question.
Okay, Rabbi, we see you tomorrow.